You're watching Faith and Reason, a discussion about God, politics, and pop culture. From the perspective of our pastors, who are not afraid to tackle and ask the hard questions. A Christian talk show for those on a spiritual journey. This is Faith and Reason.
Welcome to Faith and Reason, a program looking at today's issues from a Christian point of view, hosted by two pastors in the local area here. My name is Pastor Rick Spence, pastor Fort Lee Gospel Church. With me, as always, Pastor George Crespo, First Baptist Church of Cliffside Park. And we want to tackle a topic here today, which is the topic of Target and its use of a bathroom policy, which has created a controversy. A little bit of the genesis of all of this is that North Carolina made some waves about a month ago or so, saying that they would that people had to use the bathroom of their birth. And Target, about 2 weeks ago, we're taping this on May 2nd, 2016. So about 2 weeks ago, Target came out with a policy saying that any of their workers or customers can use the bathroom of the gender that they identify with. And as a response to that, there has been an organized protest from American Families Association, sort of a Christian watchdog advocacy kind of group, and they have had more than 1 million petitions signed saying that they'll boycott Target until they change. So that's the story. So Target is allowing transgender individuals to use the bathroom they feel most comfortable with. How do you, Pastor George, how do you respond to this story?
Well, at first I didn't take it seriously. I thought that Target was simply catering to being politically correct, because the fact is that in America, from the stats that they have, you have less than 0.3 people who identify themselves as being transgender. So this is an extreme minority. Mm-hmm. And I felt that I felt Target was going to back off immediately, because I thought, no, they're just trying to, make some waves and sound controversial. And I think at the end of the day, we'll see if the bottom line is money and they'll stop it. Mm-hmm. But, I thought that even if that was your issue, you could have had other solutions. You could have said, well, let's create a bathroom that gives people that kind of privacy if they want that. I mean, for example, in New York, mm-hmm. you have bathrooms that are individual bathrooms. You walk in mm-hmm. and you lock it, mm-hmm. so anybody can use it. But obviously in a bathroom that you can have women and men walking into women's bathrooms, it creates a certain chaos that we have not seen. And I thought it was kind of ludicrous. And I also felt that it was, it really goes with the sense, I know people don't see the maybe overarching issues, I say, of the fact that we become a society that really is trying to lose all sense of objectivity. We don't no longer believe there's truth, and we mostly go by our feelings. Well, if you feel that you're a woman, or if you feel that you're a man, or if you feel you're a dog, if you feel you're a 6-year-old girl, and there's no longer a sense of objective reality. No matter how much I may feel that I am Canadian, I was born in Cuba. I cannot go to Canada and pretend and they're going to give me all the rights because I believe that I'm Canadian. Just like we had that lady a while back who, I can't remember what it is that she did to her skin, but she identified herself as Afro-American. Mm-hmm. She was working this whole thing, and it was a scandal. And that here's a lily white woman now, do you respect that because she feels or she identifies? You could say you identify with slavery and all the things that black people went through. But you know what? You're lily white. You have no idea what they went through. Right. And you don't have no idea what they truly go through. But again, can she be classified as Afro-American because she feels? So I thought it was kind of ludicrous when I first heard the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but it's actually developed into something, as I understand it, and somebody on their smartphone showed me a clip of a video which seemed to have gotten a lot of traction around this story, where you hear this male voice and he's got a camera either clipped on him or maybe it's a hidden camera, but he goes into Target and says, I want to use the woman's bathroom, and he's got a husky male voice, and And of course, they call the manager over. The manager says, okay, yes, you can, we'll protect you. If anyone complains, we will defend your right to use the woman's bathroom. And so this angers a lot of conservatives. I'm talking politically now, not necessarily, it seems like that created a lot of traction for this story. There's some, I even double-checked on Snoops, some of the lies associated with this. Target is not giving in to the Obama administration. Obama had nothing to do with this. He's not taking a stand on it. Those kind of things are not true. But the reality is the truth is that Target did change their policy, and so it's become a big story. So now, as a bigger story, you said originally you thought it was just ludicrous.
Yeah.
But now, how do you think about it as a Christian leader and trying to practice your values in the society which is changing and making everything nebulous, as you said?
For me, again, it's a question of what Christians need to do at this point. And that's one of the questions we're going to address, that, what should Christians do at this point? And there's diversity, of course, among Christians. I just read an article this morning by a Christian leader that questioned whether we should boycott or not. Where do you draw the line? Is this really such a big issue? And obviously for him it's not. And he's a very, Marvin Olasky, so he's a very well-known Christian conservative. And he would be associated with the right. And yet here he's saying that it's not such an issue. For me, the issue is that somewhere you got to draw the line. It gets ludicrous. This is again, because I feel that it's so unnecessary. If you really want to solve the problem, there are solutions that don't entail being so dramatic and trying to make it sound like you're so politically correct, or being such a innovator in the way you're handling your policies. I mean, again, make another bathroom. I just see that there are more issues involved, and that it's just ludicrous to go this way and make such a big thing out of something like this. I just don't see it. I don't get it. I'm like, maybe again, I'm not part of the mentality of this world. Obviously, we know biblically, you're a man, you're a man. You're a woman, you're a woman. That's just the way it is. But it's not, for me, it's not a question of biblical. It's just a question of common sense. And I feel that they're lacking common sense. And it's, you don't rush into an issue like this without really thinking it out and taking time and going through it. I mean, there's so many things that places like Target would survey and find out the pulse of people before you took an action like this, and then find a remedy that is suitable to all people. I didn't see any of that. It was almost like let's run into it, and it came out of nowhere. It didn't seem like something that was really, or like you said, maybe spurred on by North Carolina, but it wasn't something that really. Well, for 6 months we have had this. We've been thinking about this. We've been interviewing people. We've asked our customers, "How do you feel about this?" It was just like, this is the way it should be.
Yeah. Again, I just my little reading on it in preparation for this program. It may not have been a 6-month process, of course, but I do think that Target, believed that they were going to take a stand with the majority of Americans of being welcoming of whoever, and I do. Listen, the society right now, to back up a step, and I know we're talking about Target, but to back up a step, the movers and shakers of society are making fun of North Carolina because they've made a law which is the opposite law to Target, so to speak, saying that, okay, if you're born a woman and you now dress and look like a man, you have to use the woman's bathroom, vice versa. So that's the intent of, a conservative state legislation in North Carolina created this law. So now you've got the Bruce Springsteens of the world saying, I'm going to cancel my Target, my concert that was going to be played in North Carolina. You've got the NBA wrestling with, I think the All-Star game or something's coming up in North Carolina. They're thinking about moving it. So so I think Target sees all of this, and they say, and the language of Target, I read the language of Target is, we want to be welcoming. That's their, they're not, and again, for our point of view, I think they're missing some points. And one of the conservative arguments, and maybe you can speak to it further, is what about children? What about pedophiles, who say, this is my opportunity to walk in and how would you respond to that kind of thing?
Well,
or
first
some
of
the
all,
issues?
so far as Bruce Springsteen and stuff like that, that's their prerogative. That's the great thing about having freedom. He's allowed to say, I don't want to have a concert there. But I think he should view that within the overall spectrum. Because what I have seen so far is many of these artists in many situations is the hypocrisy. How they have no problem saying, well, we won't be in North Carolina, but then when they go overseas and they do concerts in different places, different nations, they forget about, oh, we don't have transgender bathroom. That's right, we don't, because we kill homosexuals. I mean, and the hypocrisy has just been amazing. I'm like, really? Seriously? You're really, again, to me, it's like, I mean, I'm sorry to be condescending, but it feels like I'm watching children who are trying to cater to a certain mentality and saying, oh yeah, we're the politically correct people, we stand over here. But then when you look at their resume, you're like, really? Look where you've been. We've seen so many artists who go abroad to places like Indonesia and stuff like that, where there are stricter laws, harsher things, and they have no problem because they're getting millions of dollars to do one-day performance, and they don't care. So I mean, I would weigh that according to that. But again, that's his prerogative. Just like it's North Carolina's prerogative as a state to decide this is what they're going to do. But the funny thing is that Bruce Springsteen thinks that the transgender should be respected, but not the rights of the others who might disagree with transgender and say, no, we don't want this. I think it has to go both ways. You want one respected, but not the other. Now, so far as the pedophilia, I don't think pedophilia is going to become, it's going to change the fact that we have a problem in our nation. And that's become a whole different issue, which I'm beginning to investigate, because I want to do a program on that as well, where there's doors being opened, which is becoming more permissive of that mindset. And people are not noticing these little cracks in doors that is kind of permitting the fact that this might be a healthy thing, that men have sexual relations with younger children, whatever, and they're trying to build the base. But put that aside.
Yeah,
yes, you are endangering.
Can't go too far down that road.
You are making it worse. You are making it more dangerous. I mean, look, I was joking with a friend of mine on Facebook because he was mentioning this, and I said, look, if that happened, if that was the case, and my daughter now has to go into a bathroom, and I'm gonna feel very feminine because I'm gonna walk in with her.
Yeah, you see, now you can do that in Target.
Yeah,
that's the good news.
No, this is how you go. This is the way you realize. Look,
yeah,
I can beat your laws too. But I think that will also bring in. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I have no problem with it, because to me it's just like a title fight. You want to go in. You go 12 rounds, see who wins. I saw this many years ago when Procter & Gamble came out, and basically one of their CEOs was like downplaying Christianity. Christians that don't have enough power to make any difference, and Christians just boycotted Procter & Gamble. The man was fired. They apologized. I think Christians need to make a stand. But yeah, once Target also starts getting lawsuits from women who in any way have been violated or touched, or anything happens in that bathroom, again, it's her word against his word, and you're allowed this policy. She can bring lawsuit. I think it's going to open a new can of worms. Again, I don't think they've thought about it. They haven't thought about, look, there's another solution.
Okay,
there's another solution.
Listen, we've been talking about the issue, the controversy around bathrooms in Target that's going on right now in society. We're going to take a quick break and come back in just a moment. You just saw a clip of the church that I pastor, and it's a dated clip, but that's what we still look like. The church hasn't changed much. The kids have grown up, and the little girls are in college, and that's a different story. But Pastor George, tell us about First Baptist.
As long as that clipping's not around when you're 80 years old. I've changed a bit, but
that's it. You probably will be.
Our church is First Baptist Church in Cliffside Park. It's 777 Anderson Avenue. Our service begins 10 a.m. We have Sunday school followed at 11 a.m. by worship service. Also Wednesday night we have a Bible study and prayer meeting at 7:30 p.m. We do have a website, firstbaptistcp.org, where you can get a lot of information about our show. You can go to Facebook, like us on Facebook, and you can see the videos of Faith and Reason, Bible studies, sermons, and so much more. And certainly you can interact with me through that medium.
Yeah. Well, and let me just say this. I know Pastor George has done a lot of good stuff connecting with Facebook and updating, and even getting these programs. I'm telling people go through First Baptist to find Faith and Reason, or I think we have a connecting point through our website as well. But we haven't been as on top of that, so good for you. And a lot of his teaching is online as well. We are talking about targets and the bathroom controversy. It's something which is only a 2-week-old story, where it was about 2 weeks ago today, Target announced that they were going to have a policy that welcomes people to use the bathroom of the gender they identify with. My premise is it's in reaction to the North Carolina law saying that you have to use the bathroom of the gender of your birth, which, you know, that's a whole other issue. But then coming back, a part of what has happened is there's been a protest. The American Families Association has garnished 1 million customers who have signed a pledge that they will boycott Target until they change their policy. It's hurt them in the pocketbook. My reading is that in 10 days the stocks from Target have gone from 84 and change down to $79. It's a loss of $2.5 billion worth of wealth of the company, 5.8% drop in the stock value. They say that their sales are down. They're feeling a pinch, and so, you know, one of the great things about America is that there's a time for boycotting and there's a time for not boycotting, and certainly this seems to be a case where they're getting some traction. This is a story that's picked up steam, and it's catching a nerve with some conservatives in particular in this country, and maybe, I think, as you would argue, people who just have some common sense, saying this is a foolish policy that they enacted. I want to switch the conversation just a little bit now to the question, and I put it to you: how would you respond to parents who have transgender children and they don't want to feel offended or uncomfortable? Let's talk a little bit about that, because I'm seeing more and more stories, video clips of this 8-year-old who is born a boy but feels like a girl, and parents wrestling with those stories.
Yeah.
How would you respond?
Well, first of all, I want to go back to the economic, and then I'll go into economically, I think it's good because I think it'll show what the bottom line is.
Yeah.
And if Target has no problem losing X amount of people and their stock going down, losing money, then good for them. And then they can stick to their values, whatever they define their values according to, because they can't tell me they define their values according to the Bible or the Quran or any other scriptures. No. Whatever they define their values, great. Bully to you. Enjoy it. But I believe that the bottom line for many companies, many people, is the bottom line is money. And if they're willing to, keep going with their pride and fighting this and not finding a reasonable solution, because I don't think what conservative people are asking, or again, I don't even want to say conservative, because I'm sure there are people who are not necessarily aligned with conservatives who would say this is ludicrous, this is nonsensical. There's other solutions. This doesn't have to go to this. You could have thought this out better and planned. So let's see if they come to a resolution. Because again, I don't think they have to back away from giving a transgender their bathroom. I just think that they have to back away from insulting a portion of the people who are purchasing there. I mean, when you say 1 million people have already said they're not going to go, which includes me, and I won't. I have, look, you're not the only show in town, and I'm sure the other stores are now going to benefit, and Amazon's going to be very happy that you're taking this policy. But if you're willing to stick to it, fine. But I think I hope that at least it'll make them reflect and reconsider and find another viable solution rather than what they're doing right now. Now, so far as the situation with parents who feel that way, and I've seen even Christian parents who have children who identify with the opposite gender, and the whole dysphoria issue where they feel that they are. And I read a wonderful article by a Christian man whose son identifies with that, and he wonders why people are so wanting to offend his child. I thought that he really hadn't thought it out, because basically what he's saying is, let's offend your children, let's offend you, so that my child will not be offended. I mean, look, I don't care how much that boy identifies as a girl. The fact is he has a penis. And the fact that he's now dressing in a locker room where, you know, girls are, you have to respect the rights of the other parents as well. Again, I don't think what's being asked for is a ludicrous thing. You know, again, it's only, you know, I feel like sometimes, like, you know, I know probably liberals will probably go crazy now, but sometimes I feel like Charlton Heston in Planet of the Apes. Like it's a madhouse. It really has become a madhouse. How can you not see the simple logic of this? You know, to have a boy, I mean, even in my day as a teenager, this would have been ludicrous.
Right.
To think that a boy is going to dress with girls just because he feels that he's a girl. Again, I don't know what solution schools can come up with to help this, to help children feel this way. But I don't think the solution is to then put them in a room with girls.
Right, right.
You know, and maybe we'll find out that although he identifies with girls, he's very much heterosexual when it comes to his identity of what happens to him when he's in front of girls. This is, again, I think that, yes, you don't want your child offended. I understand. But you're willing then to offend the vast majority, because the fact is, this is, again, 0.3% of the population identifying as transgender or having these issues.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't, again, I don't see this as a solution. I see this as creating another problem.
Right, right. I think one of the challenges, and if I can, you know, just say, when we were growing up, there were tomboys, there were girls who played sports with the guys and they acted, and then there was, you know, guys who were quite effeminate and they didn't necessarily fit in with, and somehow, you know, it wasn't easy for them, and I'm sure that there were suicides and issues that came out of those gender confusion issues. One of the challenges for me, and this is where, you know, it's a tough discussion to have, especially as you deal with a parent of a child. But yet, at the end of the day, I think what's being lost is saying that if your child has a confusion issue with their gender, they have a problem. They have an issue. They're not normal. They're not made by God that way. It's just like saying another child, you know, has epilepsy. Another child has another disease. I mean, it's not. It's something unhealthy. Now, at the same time, there's ways that we as the church are called to love people with all kinds of issues, and I think we can still love and still say at the same time, you know, you need help to process who you are, and help isn't always just creating and going through the hormones and the surgery to make you, because there's been studies that have shown that people who have gone through the sex changes have sometimes suffered tremendously on the other side of it, and they've had a lot of pain there as well. And to deny the painful existence of somebody, that's, you know, is not to really know the story. But at the same time, to say that this is normal or this is a right of the individual, and to your point, that the one child who feels one way should mess up the rest of the classroom because now the little boy is in the girls' changing room and making others, there's an absurdity to some of that solution. It's tough, though. It's
but
a tough
again,
issue.
for me, it's not that. I mean, I understand that we live in a fallen world, and I have no problem thinking that there will be individuals who have situations like that because we live in a fallen world. I mean, today you have devout Christians who acknowledge that they're not, you know, men who are not attracted to women, they're attracted to men. And they realize that this is just part of who they are, and they choose then to abstain from marriage or any relations because they believe that the Bible teaches this is wrong, it should not be done. So again, even if a child identifies a certain way, I understand we live in a world where, you know, things have fallen, things can go wrong, no problem. And I'm not trying to, again, classify. I don't even want to classify the issue of sin or disease, because especially when you have children who are younger, I just don't see it that much. I just don't see how an 8-year-old, if they have these issues, how it could be unless they've had something happen dramatically in their lives, like they were violated or something like that, I wouldn't go that way. I would just say, well, no, this is just the way the child feels. Okay, no problem. Unless of course, that's also being catered to in school. Mm-hmm. In school, we know that all children, when they're growing up, go through some sort of confusion. Mm-hmm. The question of who they are, their sexual identity. But then if your surroundings are confused as well, and don't really help you have a bearing, then of course you're out there in the middle of nowhere. And it might take you time to, recently we're talking about people who passed away, so we're going to be talking about Prince. David Bowie was one of those individuals. He, for a time, he indulged in the sexual world with men. Mm-hmm. And then he was like, no, I'm a guy. I was like, okay, maybe in the confusion of what he was doing, the lifestyle he was living, he experimented, like many people might experiment, but then he realized, oh, no, it's not for me. Mm-hmm. And I've heard many women do that as well as in lesbian, much more in women experimenting with lesbian issues than men. But again, I'm not even discussing those issues. I'm discussing the fact that you just can't take the rights of those individuals and then impose it on the majority of the people. And you have to, you want your child to be respected, you have to respect other children as well, and you have to respect the parents and their wishes. I really would not feel comfortable with my daughter being in a locker room and a guy being there. I'm sorry, that's just, I mean, if you're a father and you have 10 daughters and you feel comfortable with that, well, bully to you. You still need to respect the fact that there are many who will not feel comfortable with that.
Right. No, and I can agree with that. Let me put my 2 cents in on this, and then you've got a minute to respond. But I think North Carolina was foolish to pass a law that created legislation, and I think that Target doesn't need a policy because if you've got, Caitlyn Jenner, Bruce Jenner / Caitlyn Jenner, she's going to walk in and use a woman's bathroom. And she's wearing a dress, she's going to use a woman's bathroom. Even Donald Trump says, come to my place and use my woman's bathroom, which is a part of the process. When you start legislating that, I think you get in trouble. You anger people and you upset people, and then someone takes a legislation, they say, well, let me twist it around this way and act that way. I think that this is probably going to hurt Target along the way, and it's probably going to create some Target fans as well. This is an ongoing discussion. We need to wrap it up. You got 30 seconds.
I really don't know much about the North Carolina thing. I don't know what led to their legislating this. If it was situations like the one I'm talking about, I could understand. If there's a situation where you have men walk into a women's bathroom and things are beginning to happen that should not happen, I can see how they said, whoa, no, let's stop this before it gets dangerous, which I think Target will discover the hard way.
Yep. Okay, well, you've been watching Target and the bathroom controversy. Let's keep talking about ethics in our society. See you next time.
Thank you for watching Faith and Reason. Please join us again next week. We invite you to visit our pastors at one of their churches, Pastor Rick Spence at Fort Lee Gospel Church, or Pastor George Crespo at the First Baptist Church in Cliffside Park. Check out our websites for more information.